Hello, my name is Brian Dorch. I'm going to talk to you today about sample preparation. So what we're going to do is we're going to prepare a sample for extraction. I'm going to take a 34 mil cell body. This will accommodate the 30 millimeter filters. I'm going to first orientate the cell. My logo is at the bottom. I'm going to screw on the bottom cell cap. And now I'm going to insert either a cellulose or glass fiber filter. Glass fiber is going to be used for water containing samples, or if water is used as a solvent, and cellulose can be used for any sample that is either dry or if you're using any standard organic solvent for the extraction. In this case, I'm going to prepare a dry sample, so I'm going to use a cellulose filter. I place the filter inside the cell. Just within the cell, take my filter insertion tool and push the filter into place with the insertion tool. I now need to take my sample. I'm going to add my sample because I don't know what volume of this will take up inside the cell. This sample is loose. I have no idea what volume that will take up. It's just have a weight. This is a 5-gram sample. So I'm going to first add my sample to the cell. This would be a quantitative transfer. And now I have the sample in the bottom of the cell, but the problem is I don't want to just add this top cell cap and believe the sample is ready for extraction, because you don't want the sample to plug. You want to disperse the entire volume of sample throughout the extraction cell. So I'm going to add a dispersant agent. This is our Thermo Fisher SamplePrepGeneral. It's diatomaceous earth. I'm going to add that to the cell right up until it's about half a centimeter from the top of the extraction cell. As you can see, I filled the dead volume inside the cell with diatomaceous earth. Now, the nice thing about the SamplePrepGeneral is I can homogenize the sample with this hydromatrix material. So I can take the cell contents now, place them in a mortar and pestle. So I'll pour the contents of the cell now into the mortar and pestle and grind the SamplePrepGeneral, diatomaceous earth, and the sample together. The sample in this case is dry tea leaves. We're going to extract pesticides from the tea leaves. So I'm going to grind this until the matrix, the hydromatrix and the sample become a consistent, fairly consistent homogeneous mixture. Good enough. So now I'm going to add the contents of the cell, of the mortar, to the extraction cell, making sure to add my funnel to the cell so I don't get the threads dirty. So I'm going to transfer the hydromatrix plus sample to the cell. The reason I mix the sample with the hydromatrix again is to make sure I disperse the sample and also increase the surface area of the sample matrix so that it doesn't plug and so that solvent hits more surface area of the sample. That'll create a more thorough extraction. I'm going to now tap the contents of the cell down, holding the funnel and the cell. Tap the cell down. You'll notice that as I tap, these contents of the cell will start to compact. And now if I wanted to get a very quantitative transfer, and if I was worried about analytes remaining in the mortar, I could take some solvent, roughly about 3 to 5 mils of solvent, squirt that into the mortar, add the pestle, shake it around, and then pour that solvent into the extraction cell if I wanted to get a very quantitative transfer and I was worried about analytes sticking to the mortar and the pestle. So I do have a little bit more dead volume here, so I'm going to add more SamplePrepGeneral right up to the roughly half centimeter point inside the cell. So I tap the cell down a little bit more, take the funnel off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add another filter to the outlet end of the cell. This is so if the orientation is lost to the cell, I do have a filter on both the inlet and the outlet. I'm not going to ever use the filter insertion tool to compact the sample. That is a very bad idea. Just tap it. As you can see, I have a filter on the top and the bottom. I'm going to use a brush right now to clean the threads of the cell. You don't want to get debris in the threads of the cell, so especially sample matrix or hydromatrix, because you might not be able to get the cell cap on or off again and it could create a leak. So I'll take my top cell cap, screw it onto the top of the cell. Hand tight, don't need to use wrenches, just hand tight will work, and this cell is now ready for extraction. And that is sample cell preparation.